What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew, and today I want to talk about Bailey Smith and a bit of this. You've seen a lot of this going on in AFL football recently. Of course, there's been the Harley Reid incident. We've now got a recent scenario here involving Bailey Smith, and a bit more controversy emerging about that one due to some comments made by Bailey and then Patrick Dangerfield after the fact. I think there's a lot to be said about the bird that's being flipped by players at the moment. And there's a broader conversation we can have, certainly, and let's not hide from a bit of Geelong bias here. We are, of course, a Geelong platform for anyone who is new and discovering the channel today. And undoubtedly, this is on my radar, and I've become more passionate about it because it's involved a Geelong player. But I think there's a broader conversation to be had here about players who are flipping off members of the crowd or whatever it happens to be, because there's got to be something underpinning it. We're going to have a conversation about what occurred in the case of Bailey Smith. We can extend that to Harley Reid and a whole bunch of other players over the years who've been done for flipping members of the crowd off in this video. But first, let's take a word from our sponsor.
The Hoops Crew Media Network is proudly sponsored by Cyril Cook Florist. Visit them at shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. Phone them on 035 222 2244 or visit their website at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au and use the offer code GOCATS in the voucher field at checkout to get 20% off your next online purchase.
Thank you, Cyril Cook Florist, as always, for your ongoing support of the Hoops Crew and all we get up to. Now, let's get into the subject matter a little bit here. The first thing I want to throw to is some comments made by Rory Sloan after the whole event played out between Geelong and Adelaide, and there was apparently some comments made from the crowd towards Patrick Dangerfield. Bailey Smith took umbrage of that and flipped this guy off, the double bird specifically. Well, let's kind of go through what Rory had to say, and we can kind of go from there a little bit. So bear with me as we bring up some video here and we talk a little bit about it.
The AFL got this one wrong though, Damo, and if I was Bailey Smith, I'd just be saying to the AFL, look, appreciate the thought and finding me and the donation, but I'm going to politely decline this one because we talk about setting examples, and he admitted, he goes, I've got to set a better example, but for me, the one you want to stamp out is the fan one. What that fan spoke about was so pointed and personal and vulgar after chatting to Dange that you don't want to see that in our game or set that example for any of our fans anywhere across the country.
So you're obviously close with Paddy. You are aware of the content. It's not that you're going to broadcast that today, but you're aware of the...
He said that unrepeatable as well. So not a good look from a fan, but I just don't think a good look finding a player who's clearly sticking up for one of his good mates.
Yep. Another issue, TJ, as we know, was
I just think if it's as bad as what you're saying it is, and I've got no doubt to believe that, then instead of slapping Bailey Smith with $1,000, find the perpetrator.
Absolutely.
And ban that perpetrator.
Absolutely. I'm saying the exact same thing, TJ.
Yeah. Would the AFL ever track down why don't they track down the spectator?
Oh, they can. They've got that ability, and we might pose that question to Andrew Dillon in a few moments.
All right. So those were the comments by Bailey Smith, by Rory Sloan about the whole scenario, and certainly understand that he's speaking on a televised platform there. He's got the ability to share, whilst not oversharing, exactly what he made of this particular scenario. And I can appreciate that he's in a really challenging spot, being obviously a prominent figure of the Adelaide Football Club as a former captain, former player, and a great mate of Paddy Dangerfield, who also played at the Crows back in the day. And I mean, they're still great friends to this very day. Also, some incredible encounters since Danger jumped ship to Adelaide as well between him and Rory Sloan. But I think his comments are really important. And I think what Tony Jones kind of led into at the end here is one of the really key things. It's about the consequence, not just... I would be embracing both what Rory said and what Tony said, in the sense that I don't want to see Bailey Smith fined in this scenario. Now, $1,000 for a bloke who's earning probably millions a year between his contract and then of course, things like cotton on sponsorships and all other gigs that players do. He's earning plenty. So $1,000 is a drop in the ocean. He probably found $1,000 under the couch one night. But I think the point is he probably shouldn't be copping one for having to defend his captain, who couldn't do anything, who couldn't say or kind of clap back in any way, and was clearly on the receiving end of some horrific comments from some dickhead in the crowd. So what I want to next throw to here is another video. And it's Bailey Smith speaking about it, and then we kind of dive into some commentary here from Eddie Maguire and Jimmy Bartell on their Eddie and Jimmy podcast. So let's let's throw to that one next, and we'll go from there.
I've had my time again, definitely would. It's not a good look for the game as well, so I understand that. So I've got to be better in that regard, but it's all part of it. You know what I mean? You dish it out, you get it back.
That was Bailey Smith reacting to his
sorry, this
double
is,
bird flip
the
at a
Raw
heckling
who've kind of
Crows
broken out
fan,
the
which
various
saw
clips.
him fined
Credit to them.
$1,000. But Eddie Maguire thinks there's a way to stop it from ever happening.
I don't know why the races are open. They don't need to be.
So I make them a tunnel.
Make it a tunnel. Take the tunnel out to the boundary line, then you run out. That's simple. I mean, when they had a football park, I made them put perspex over the top of it because they were, when you used to run down the tunnel and go sideways and go around.
Yeah.
I made them put perspex on the top of it and said, "We won't play if you don't do it." So sometimes in life, you can't just respond or rely on people doing the right thing. Find out where the problem is, fix it, and then there's no problem.
It was reported the taunts were directed at Cat skipper Patrick Dangerfield, which Smith thought crossed the line.
It's like free speech. It's not free speech. You can't. There's a limit to free speech. You can't be ridiculously.
Well, there's free
you can't be
speech, but there's
inciting.
also accountability.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, here's another thing. Why wouldn't you have a couple of attendants there who can grab people and say, "Sorry, pal, we're going to fine you," or or a cop says, "Come here, oi, enough of that."
And so that is the conversation as it stands through a few different conversations that have been had here. And I guess if we start to kind of wade into what Eddie and Jimmy have had to say, I don't mind the Eddie Maguire sentiment in the sense of, covering the race and those sort of things. And we've seen it at different grounds around Australia. But we also have, a variety of really different experiences in sport across the globe. I think about when, Australia goes to play the Ashes, and I think about what occurred during the Ashes the other year, where there was some old bastard who, at Lords who got far too carried away, gave an earful to some of the players, and then copped it rightly back and was kind of kicked out as a result. There's a great theatre in the crowd being able to kind of access the players, but as Eddie and Jimmy discuss, if the crowd's going to take the piss out of that, and if they're going to abuse this privilege of being able to get so close with the players, regardless of the sport, I would say, then that privilege needs to be taken away. Now, I don't think that's ever going to change at a venue like Lords for the cricket, but they can really carefully curate who comes into the room due to membership status and all those sorts of things. And obviously something occurred in this particular case. There was a slip up, whatever. When it comes to the footy crowds at the MCG, you don't really get to curate who is there. So you are going to get some dickhead who decides that they want to make heinous, racist, sexist, homophobic, or deeply personal comments towards a player and think they can get away with it. And they kind of can. Because to Jimmy's point, there is free speech. Eddie kind of had a little bit wrong there. There is free speech. You can technically say and do what you want as things stand here. And that, creates problems. It means that people can say these horrible things and kind of get away with it. Well, again, to Jimmy's point, of course, it takes a Geelong person to bring a cool head and a rational response here. Sorry, Eddie. But Jimmy's a rock star. The point he makes is, well, okay, I don't think we can fine them. It's not illegal to speak your mind like that. But what the MCG or Adelaide Oval staff or whatever it is, it is their own private property. They can dictate. They've created the rules for entering the venue. And they can go, well, no, this is conduct unbecoming, if I want to use a very AFL sort of centric term here. Conduct unbecoming. Sorry, mate, you can't come back. And we'll kick you out. Not just today, but maybe for the season. And I'm sure, of course, there's going to be some clown that thinks they can sneak back in or whatever. But it instantly puts it at the forefront of the minds of anyone who attends a match that if you come around to our match, to our football, our event, and want to be a fuckwit, and I'll use the language, we're far enough into the video now, I don't care. If you want to be a fuckwit, you're going to find out. And so we'll kick you out and you won't be welcome back. And we'll revisit in a year. And if you come back and do it again, we'll make it 5 years. We can kind of keep upping the ante here. It's like disciplining a child who continues to, I don't know, hurt their sibling or whatever it is. There's an escalation of consequence here. And they can do that without having to get, to issue fines and those sort of things, which maybe they're not legally allowed to do. I could be wrong. They might legally be allowed to issue fines as well for scenarios like that. I guess they can fine people if they storm out on the ground and it's ultimately just a patch of grass. So I guess maybe they can issue fines as well. But like, there's an escalation that you can go through here that disincentivizes this kind of behavior. I am all for, in this scenario, this guy getting fined or this guy being kicked out, not welcomed. And to throw back to Tony Jones and what he said in the Sunday Footy Show commentary, the AFL does have the means to go and find out who this person is. They've got the CCTV. They've got the obviously the footage from the phone there that the person posted on Twitter, and they can work backwards and work out who this individual is. And hopefully they have. And they did actually go and speak to Andrew Dillon because he came on the show afterwards. And Andrew Dillon kind of highlighted the fact that they've got processes and things that they'll go through. It was a very non-committal, generic sort of answer, as you'd expect from the head of the AFL. But they do have processes they can go through to identify people like this and then issue a consequence. What I would love to hear at this point is some sort of official finding of it. We found this guy, we find him, or he's not welcome back for the year. Make an example out of people like this, because that's what caused the behavior to go away. If you allow it to continue on, you get more of it. And we've seen it for years. And now, we can talk about Harley Reid. And whilst I guess it's a bit harder it's not harder to defend Harley Reid, but I guess it's harder to pinpoint exactly what the cause was, because you can get players going, oh, he insulted my sister. Oh, he picked on my mum. He called me this. He called me that. Like whatever it happened to be. You can you could get some very trigger-happy players pointing fingers left, right, and center, and kind of abusing it in a way, or those who are, I'm trying to be mindful of my words, but maybe a little bit more emotionally fragile, just getting a little bit twitchy on the point and blame game, and the AFL won't want that either. And the Harley Reid one, not that I think he's anyone precious or anything like that, but it's just a bit harder to identify. He's further out on the ground. You probably can't quite identify what was said, who said it, how it was said, and also it's been quite a few weeks now. We can flash back to Richo flipping people off. There's a whole bunch of scenarios where this occurred, and I have no doubt in my mind that the person who's being flipped off is being flipped off for a really good reason. And there's been years and years where other members of the crowd have deserved to cop a similar sort of thing that Bailey Smith, Richo, Harley Reid, whoever it is, have dished out. And they've dodged it because the player has been disciplined enough in the moment to keep themselves composed and just ignore it. And I don't think this behavior should be ignored anymore. Simply put, it shouldn't be on the players to have to retaliate. But there should be mechanisms in place to stop it from happening. Both in the sense of what Eddie Maguire said, covering the races, protect the players for as long as possible on their way out. And then secondly, with consequences. Those are my thoughts. And also, to put a bow on it, AFL, if you can identify who this person is and know exactly what they've said, you should take a look at Bailey Smith's fine. And as much as it's a small amount to him, give him these $1,000 back. That's it for this video. Hope you've got lots of thoughts on this particular conversation, because I don't want to see this sort of behavior in any sport, AFL, cricket, whatever it happens to be. Stamp this sort of rubbish out. We can taunt, we can heckle and all those sort of things. Like, your mother wears army boots, all those sort of stupid old one-liners. They're fine. And there can be more edgy ones as well. They're fine. But as soon as you step over the realm into abuse or blatant disrespect, people can cop a whack. And I hope that we explore this a little bit further over the coming weeks and months and years to come. That's where we'll wrap things up. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a subscribe and a like on this video. We'd love to see you engaging in more conversations with us on the Hoops Crew channel. That'd be amazing if you could. Please make sure to check out our Patreon, where we've got exclusive content, early access content, and extended content there for people to check out. You can sign up for 7 days as a free trial period to see what we have. And if it's for you, please consider sticking around for the cost of $5 or $6 for the entire month after that to enjoy all the stuff that we're putting out there. You'll find me at Paul James Games on socials, the Hoops Crew's at the Hoops Crew. And until next time, remain Geelong strong, give Bailey his money back. I'll see you later.